funny that I'm sitting on I didn't plan this, that I'm sitting on a chair that was carved out of the trunk of a tree that was just here on the land when we bought the farm. So, funny place to sit. Once unplanned to sit here and talk about a tree. The question I've been asking people, admittedly, is a question that I'm asking because I have a position on it, and my position has created a certain freedom for me that I want to share, but in preference to doing so, in preparation for doing so, I wanted to get a bead on, a sense of where people are in the context of this perspective. And so I've been asking a question as a means of inquiry to find out, like, where do people stand in this? Where do you stand in the question, if a tree falls and there is nobody there, has it fallen? Where do you stand when you answer that question? Like, what comes to you? What comes to you when you when you hear that question? And what are you compelled to answer for yourself, at least, if you're not necessarily sharing an answer with me? And the reason I'm interested in that for you is because it is my experience that the way that we see the world creates the thoughts that we have, which create our experience, which create our well-being, and which give us access to actions that are consequential on producing the results that we get in life. So why should I care about a question like this? Why should I care about my personal philosophy? The reason I should care is because I care about my life. I care about how I feel. I care about what my mind does and what that it produces for my experience. I care about my freedom. I care about the amount of love that moves through me. And because I care about my experience, but also because I care about how I show up, how I take action, and how effective I am at producing results that produce the material world that I live in, that produce not just my personal world, but the impact I have on the actual world, the difference that I make. So our personal philosophy is informing our experience and our impact on the world. Genuinely. And if you just think, well, it doesn't matter what my philosophy is, it's like, well, really? Is that really true? Because different philosophies make different worlds, man. I mean, look at the world we've got today. It is the outgrowth of a way of thinking about reality. What's right and wrong, what's good and bad, what must or must not be. Those ideas are at the bottom of everything. And so in my personal experience and opinion, there's nothing more important than our personal philosophy, because together that creates our social cultural philosophy, and it creates the world that we've got. So for me, who cares if a tree has fallen? I do, and I would even go so far as to say you should. Not about the particular tree, unless trees falling are of your particular value set, then in that sense, yes. But I mean the idea of fallenness of a tree in the woods when nobody's there, that should matter to you, because whether it has or hasn't fallen is an expression of your personal philosophy that is giving rise to the thinking that you have, that creates who you are, how you meet the world, the amount of peace that you have day to day. So let me get into it, now that I've said why you should care. So I say, my stance is that if a tree falls and there is nobody there, it has not fallen. And I don't mean that the thing that's out there made of wood, that we are in agreement is made of wood, if it's laying down, that it's not laying down. That's not what I mean. I'm playing with language here to point to something. And as I say this, you might have the thought, well, yeah, obviously that's the case. But what's important is that when I ask the question, the degree of certainty that you have in your answer, automatically, that is an expression of the orientation within which you live your personal philosophy. It doesn't matter if you intellectually can get into a point of agreement with me, in the sense that that's not the embodied experience that you have on a day-to-day basis. If when you read the question, here's my pitch to you, if when you read the question, if a tree falls and there is nobody there, has it fallen? If you read that and your immediate response is no, then what I'm suggesting is that you are having an experience of the world that has more freedom in it, more love available in it, and thus more not only well-being and peace, but also power to produce results in the world. If a tree falls in the wood and there is nobody there, has it fallen? Look, if I say, if a tree falls in the wood and there is nobody there, has it gefallen? If you were German, you'd hear the same question. If you were not German speaking, or if you couldn't speak German and you heard that same question, you might be like, what? I don't know. Because I don't know what gefallen is. You might kind of guess it's maybe German for fallen, which it is. But if you didn't know, you might not know. And if I could speak another language, like if I knew how to say a fallen in a different language that was even further away, I'd say that, and you'd be like, and your answer would be, I don't know. Because unless you have the meaning of the word, you can't answer the question. And my point is that fallen is a concept. Fallen is an idea. And if there's nobody there to apply concept, then the concept fallen isn't. If the concept fallen isn't, then there is no fallen. And this is a deep possibility, saying, oh, well, listen, hold on. I'm not just saying that if there's nobody there to say it's fallen, then we can get away with saying it hasn't fallen because nobody's calling it out as fallen. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that fallenness, the possibility that something is fallen, lives in the perception of fallen as a concept held in the mind of a human being that perceives it. You might say if an animal is there and it's seeing it, then it knows that it's fallen and it's fallen. But an animal doesn't know fallen. The animal might know something about that thing, but that something isn't fallen because fallen lives in language. Language is the house of being. Language is the house of ising. This is Heidegger. So for something to be fallen, there must be a human being that fallen is, and applying that being that fallen is to that thing out there, that something, and even thingification is a fallen, is a imposition of concept and meaning and story. That doesn't mean there is nothing. Well, there is nothing, but that's a different story. I'll give it to you that something is there, but even the word something applies ideas and concept to what is. So when something is happening, when something is occurring out there in the world, that something comes to life through presencing it with concept, with ideas, with meaning. That's what makes being human so special and so amazing. And this isn't about saying, this isn't some existential, nihilistic perspective. This is the realization of the power that we have to create reality in real time through our being there. And it's not, being there doesn't just mean we're there. It means we're being there. It means that we're bringing the imposition of all of the concepts, of all of the aliveness that we are, all of the meaning, of all of the sensory data meeting this neural synaptic network that holds together holograms of meaning and ideas and imposes it and applies it to that in a way that has some constancy. And then other people are doing that using the same sounds and the same pictures in their minds with that. And we hold those things together and we call that stuff that has consistency and coherence to it, held with a certain name. We call that constancy, we call that truth. And wow, what a convenient coincidence that etymologically the word truth comes from the word tree. A tree is something that's stable. And we can go back day after day and it's still there. And it's constant and it's stable and we can have faith in it. It's a tree. It's true. It's truth. That's what truth is something being there over and over and over and over again. Even though that thing that's there over and over and over again that we call truth, that we can depend on, is still just a mother effing idea that we are in agreement around. It's a concept called fallen or gefallen or in some other word that we've applied to a possibility that we're meeting in the physical reality. Even physicality is that too. But let's keep it at a level at which you can hear it. The story about fallen, I saw the picture in my mind that I was making my notes. Imagine being zapped into a world as an alien where there are no trees on your planet and you're zapped into a world where there's trees upright and trees fallen in our language. And you see things going this way and things going that way. And the things going this way have animals and creatures living in them, and the things going this way don't. They're in a different state. And you might be thinking to yourself, you might have the concept stood up. And you might be thinking, wow, some of these trees have stood up. You don't know the past, you don't know how they got there, but you're applying that concept to them. And we wouldn't do that because we've got a story about the past and how things were here and then they went there in linear time. So because they were standing and now they're this way, we say they have fallen. But again, it's a story. So who cares? Why does it matter? It matters because if you're so certain of the relationship between the language that you speak and the thoughts that you think and the outside as if it's actually there, if you believe with your body that if a tree falls and there's nobody there, that it has fallen, then your meaning-making machine, your mind, is tethered to circumstance. Let's call it circumstance. And if you don't have a constant present relationship with the inconsequentiality of circumstance on your experience, if you don't have a present embodied relationship with how everything that comes out of your mouth is bullshit, in the sense that bullshit is as true as a tree, then you don't have the same opportunity to create peace and create freedom and to untether yourself, right? Are you bound to the meaning making that occurs inside your mind, or can you in any moment, in the moment of awakened consciousness because of an inquiry, because of a question, can you look at that and be like, nope, it's not real. I'm making it up. I'm in agreement with all other human beings. We're taking this word, we're applying a concept, we're calling it that, and we're putting it on something, and it's not actually real. Why is this important? Why is it, let's just say why it's important. Why is it useful? Why is it useful? Because when I can look at any circumstance, when I can look at anything and say, just because we agree that it's happening doesn't mean that it is, I've given myself an exit. You know, like an exit with a light over it. You're in a theater and there's like a little exit door. I've always got that. Philosophically, in my embodied experience of being in the world. And then when people speak, people are speaking. And things are happening, and the conversation's getting heated, or I'm getting frustrated. I can't get my money back at the store. This person owes me money, or this person's not giving me sex, or the love that I want, or whatever the thing is that's triggering my body, the red light goes on. It's like, boom, exit. There's always an exit, because I know all of the things that I'm caught up in are an experience of the world where if a tree falls and there's nobody there, it has fallen. You need to be that way for me to be okay, and it's true. Truth is a prison when you forget that truth is only a tree. I say that if a tree falls and there is nobody there, it has not fallen. It has not fallen. It has not fallen, and you are totally free. Totally free to see what you want to see what love would have you see. You are totally free to be whatever you would love to be. You don't need permission. You don't need agreement. You go first. I am a tree. I will be a tree. I plant the seed of that possibility. And I be that, and I become that, and I be that. This is why it matters. For me, this is why it matters. Thank you for listening. I love you very much.